At Sanford AirMed, safety is our priority. When you request an AirMed transport, you are receiving our commitment to a higher level of customer service, with the end goal of delivering every patient safely to the care they need. Sanford AirMed is a nationally accredited critical care air ambulance service providing helicopter, fixed wing, and ground ambulance transports. AirMed's mission is health and healing. We are committed to improving the human condition through exceptional care, innovation, and discovery. This mission is accomplished in collaboration with you, the first responder or facility, our flight team members, and others with the number one goal of safe operations in mind.
Safety is the foundation of Sanford AirMed operations. This landing zone education will demonstrate proper techniques and procedures for safely working and communicating with AirMed aircraft. These safety expectations are set by the AirMed safety and operational teams.
Sanford AirMed operates 4 King Air 200s and 4 EC-145 IFR equipped and capable aircraft. This fleet provides the versatility we need to serve our communities both near and far. To ensure the safest operations, AirMed employs all of our own pilots and mechanics who attend annual aircraft and safety training. For scene requests, contact AirMed at the first sign of a patient with critical care needs that may benefit from air transport. If the helicopter and team are not needed, the flight can be canceled at any point. There is no charge to launch us early and then cancel. The required information to dispatch to a scene flight includes the requesting agency and their reason for the request, the physical location of the scene. AirMed refers to this as the God's Eye view. This can mean the scene is 3 miles north and 1.5 miles east of Fort Yates or 6 miles west of Silver Lake. Other helpful information to provide could be the address, interstate, highway, county road numbers, or intersection, the number of patients and their approximate weight, whether or not hazmat is on the scene, whether or not other helicopters or aircraft are en route, ground contact info and radio frequency, and a callback phone number. At the scene, one person needs to be designated as the landing zone officer. This person will be responsible for ensuring that the landing zone is properly set up and secured. The landing zone officer is also the person communicating directly with the aircraft. When picking a landing zone, find an area that is clear of hazards to the aircraft and close to the scene to facilitate easier mobility and loading. If there isn't a clear area at the scene, a rendezvous at an alternate location can be arranged. It is important to not jeopardize the safety of the air or ground crews for scene location. SWORD is a helpful acronym that you can use as a tool to remember what defines a safe and effective landing zone location. The size of a landing zone is an important factor. Larger areas provide more room to safely move and work around an aircraft. When picking a landing zone location, AirMed prefers a hard surface with little or no slope, but some scene locations may require landing on surfaces such as grass, pastures, or fields. When this happens, it's important to carefully evaluate the land because an aircraft can sink into softer ground. Other threats like loose dirt, snow, or gravel can become hazards for both the aircraft and ground crews, causing what's known as a brown or whiteout. Dampening areas with water may help contain loose debris and mitigate these risks. In these conditions, remember to wear proper face, hearing, and eye protection. Slope is also an important factor for a landing zone. We want to avoid placing the helicopter on a slope, as this can increase the dangers of the main rotor system. AirMed understands that not all scene setups will be the same, depending on first responders and available equipment. The focus is on creating the safest landing zone as possible. Once the landing location has been identified, mark the corners with turbo flares, strobes, vehicles, or other items that won't blow away as the helicopter arrives. Clearly marked landing zone corners are more important than which items are used to identify them. When using vehicles to mark corners, avoid shining any lights toward the aircraft, as this can make it harder for the pilot to see. Have the landing zone officer stand in the middle of the landing zone until the aircraft has identified the scene. Then the landing zone officer should move to the front of the landing area. For added safety, all AirMed rotor wing aircraft operate with night vision goggles or NVGs. These help us identify terrain and hazards, but keep in mind when marking a landing zone that some LED lights are hard to see with NVGs. When considering wind direction and speed, always report the direction the wind is coming from and its estimated speed. The aircraft will land into the wind.
AirMed, wind 0 to the north at 10 miles per hour.
Obstacles in the vicinity of a landing zone equal hazards. If known, communicate towers or cell phone towers within 1 mile of the landing zone. Obstacles in the immediate location of the scene, such as trees, wires, road signs, fences, soccer nets, or goal posts, should also be communicated with the aircraft. It is a good idea to place vehicles underneath wires to act as a visual cue to the aircraft that wires are present. Remember, wires are the largest threats to helicopter safety. Route refers to the best approach in and out of the landing zone. For example, a landing zone officer would say,
AirMed, it's safe to approach from the north as there are trees and a 50-foot pole to the south.
This valuable information will be shared with the aircraft in the pre-arrival briefing. Lastly, double-check everything, especially the items listed on the SWORD checklist to include the surface conditions, scene security, obstacles, and all other hazards. Vehicles should remain at least 50 feet from the helicopter. Never drive a vehicle under the rotors. Remember to stop all traffic if the landing zone is on or near a road. Also remember to brief your first responder team. Keep objects like IV poles below chest level and secure all other loose objects. AirMed aircraft have the capability to operate on a variety of communication frequencies, including VHF, UHF, Minnesota Armor, and South Dakota Digital. When the initial request is made with the AirMed Communication Center, the radio communication channel should be given to aid in the aircraft team's preparation for scene arrival.
M9, go ahead. M9, final for landing in Hartford. Roger, final Hartford, 1840.
This call from the aircraft is the cue for the landing zone officer to brief them about the landing zone area and obstacles prior to their arrival on scene.
AirMed, this is Hartford Landing Zone Officer. The landing zone is set up on an east-west road with a fire truck marking and blocking traffic to the west and a sheriff car marking and blocking the traffic to the east. There are power lines on the west side of the road with no other hazards present.
When the aircraft arrives on location, a circle or recon orbit may occur at various altitudes to identify obstacles communicated in the briefing or other items the team identifies. The aircraft will make the final determination on landing zone suitability. In some cases, the pilot may elect to move the landing zone or ask for equipment to be moved. While the aircraft is approaching to land, listen closely to the radio and observe the helicopter to ensure clearance from all hazards. If a situation arises where the safety of the aircraft or ground crew is compromised, state AirMed go around to abort the landing or AirMed stop to tell the pilot to stop and hover in place. Then relay obstacles or hazards to the pilot. Once the aircraft is safely on the ground, do not approach the helicopter. The AirMed team will come to you, assess the patient, and determine the next course of action. Depending on the possible ground time, the aircraft may stay hot or running, which means there will be additional noise to work around on scene, requiring extra vigilance from everyone operating in the area. On scene, one person needs to be designated as a rotor guard. This individual needs to be positioned toward the front of the aircraft in full view of the pilot. The rotor guard needs to see the entire area around the helicopter, including the tail, in order to prevent bystanders, vehicles, and unauthorized people from approaching the aircraft.
For the safety of all involved, first responders who need to help load a patient into the aircraft will first be briefed on the process and then will always be accompanied to and from the aircraft by an AirMed team member. Follow the AirMed team member's instructions prior to this phase. The AirMed team will open and close all doors. We always approach our aircraft from the front or side, but never from the rear. Do not move past the rear stabilizers. Make sure to protect yourself and the patient with proper hearing and eye protection. Do not re-enter the rotor disc area unless directed by a flight team member.
Once the patient has been safely loaded into the aircraft and the team is ready, the pilot will give a thumbs up to the tail guard and the aircraft will lift off from the scene. If multiple aircraft are necessary, each landing zone location needs to be a separate 100-foot by 100-foot area. If the location prevents multiple landing zone sites, the landing zone officer will communicate this information to inbound aircraft. Supporting aircraft will orbit and be cycled in as needed and should be communicating with one another on air-to-air and ground frequencies.
In the unlikely event of an emergency situation, it is important for first responders to know the location of key aircraft components, as well as how to evacuate a team.
In an emergency egress scenario, the doors are the primary exit point and are operated by pulling up on the handles in the orange shaded areas. Emergency exits are also located on each main cabin door. Remove the red cap, pull the tab around the window, and then push on the red dots in the lower corners. This allows the window to be removed toward the outside of the aircraft. The battery is located to the rear of the second engine on the right side of the helicopter. The oxygen is located in the base of the central cabinet located between the rear-facing seats in the cabin. If a first responder needs to perform an emergency shutdown of the aircraft, first locate the center pedestal in the front of the helicopter and find the red guarded emergency off switches, or fire. There are two. Pushing both switches once will shut fuel off to the engines. It is important to note that there's a slight response delay after activating the system. Next, locate the yellow battery off toggle and switch it to off. The average amount of jet fuel on board an AirMed helicopter is 190 gallons. Helicopter or weather shopping refers to a requesting agency that calls multiple services or aircraft for the same patient. In our industry, this practice has led to accidents. One of the dangers of this practice is having multiple aircraft inbound to the same location. Another danger is that a helicopter team may decline a trip due to weather concerns, but another team without that information may accept the job, endangering their team and possibly even the patient. At AirMed, safety is our priority, and we are dedicated to fostering a safe working atmosphere.
In order to maintain a constant level of safety, we rely on you, our appreciated clients, to understand and follow these standards as we work together in providing the safest possible working environment. Remember to call any time, as early activation is important. Thank you for your commitment to safety and for choosing Sanford AirMed to serve you and your community. Our success is influenced by this philosophy: every patient, every flight, every time, safety first.